Hey, what's up guys? In this video we're going to be talking about the best locations to play in for each character in Zooba, so let's just go ahead and dive right into the video. The locations I'm going to be using are the Savannah, Museum, Village, Jungle, Arctic, and Center map. Those are going to be my 6 primary bases for the locations in this game. Let's just go ahead and start with Jade. Jade is going to be really good in the Savannah and also the Jungle area. This is because she's going to be able to take advantage of her brisk whiskers, which allows her to go in and out between like grass patches and stuff, and she will be moving very fast between them. And also when she's in the jungle, like right here, and like this spot right here, she can move really super fast and take enemies by surprise. And this means that she can also go in and out, and when she's done fighting she can like hide in safety in the bushes. Next one is going to be Nyx. Now Nyx is probably one of the best balanced characters in my opinion. I think as far as map locations goes, she's pretty decent at anywhere in the map, and that's just because she has her dash ability. She doesn't have like a very good prime spot. If she did, it might be like the center map and like any open area, just because she's able to sort of kite around her enemies and like move around them really fast. The next one we have is going to be Shelly. Shelly is a sniper, and like most snipers, they need to have a good line of sight. So because of that, center map is going to be good for her. This area up here is going to be really good for Shelly. The Savannah too as well. The museum, since there's like a lot of corners and obstacles, Shelly tends to have a lot of problems there. This is just because she is a sniper and she needs to see her enemies when attacking, and that's just because she has a focus shot bow and a thrust spear. So because of that, she needs to be able to like see her enemies to like land a shot, and the more open space she has available to her, the better. Next we have is Henry, and I've already done a guide for Henry, but we'll just go over really quickly the good spots for him. Best spot by far I think is going to be the Savannah, just because he has vampire flight, and that will give him a boost of movement speed. Also, if you put boots on him, that'll just make it even more deadly, so you can like zip in and out of these grassy patches and just burst down enemies really quickly. Also the jungle too as well. Typically enemies will like to hide in the jungle when they have low health, and therefore Henry can locate them really fast with his echolocation and burst them down really quickly. So Savannah is really good. Jungle area, village area is typically pretty good. Even this area up here is really good for Henry too as well. Next we have is Lizzy. Now this is going to depend, I think. If you're playing Lizzy as a support, which is like her natural way to play, she really doesn't have like a best spot to play in other than any place that you can find grass area, because you can use her eggs, and when you use her eggs, enemies can't see where they are if they're in the grass. So if you're using Lizzy like and you're fighting with your team like in this part of the jungle, that's really good. If you lay your eggs sort of like in the center of these grassy patches, that's typically pretty good. If you're using her for like damage, she's going to be more of like a sniper like role, and because of that she's going to be really good in like center map and basically any open areas. So center map, village, this part right here, the lower part of the museum, and the Savannah too as well. Places she's not really that good in is like this part right here of the Arctic, like I keep going back to for everyone except Fuzzy. Frank is an elephant. He likes to drink water, so because of that he's going to be mainly more efficient in this general area up here that I'm creating an invisible circle in. And yeah, that's basically it for Frank. He's pretty decent in the Savannah too as well. You just want to make sure that like you fight kind of close to the water with him, just because it'll take more advantage of his abilities. Next we have is Larry. Now Larry is one of my favorite characters, and I love to use Larry in the Savannah and basically any places where he can go in and out of grass. This takes advantage of his camouflage ability, which will give him a boost of speed, and if you put boots on him, it'll just make it even more deadly. He's good in open areas like the center map, the village. Like I said, the Savannah is really good. This lower part of the museum you can be good in. Decent in the actual museum, decent in the cave, but really good in like this area right here, this area right here, center map, all of this, and including the Savannah. Fuzzy, what else can we say? Fuzzy's going to be very good in the Arctic area. He is sort of a mobile sniper, so any open spaces he's going to be good in. So center map, village, Savannah, this area right here he's going to be pretty good in. Bridges too as well. I don't know if I said the village right here, but he's going to be pretty good right there. This area right here, yeah, any part of the Arctic he's going to be pretty good in. Since he's a sniper, like I said, snipers don't like to be in like corners and stuff because they can't shoot around corners obviously, so like he can be pretty good in the museum. It's just when you're fighting with any sniper, you want to like stay in the back line. So like say like you and your team fighting a group right here where the Smalley is, your Fuzzy doesn't want to be right here in the middle of it. Your Fuzzy wants to sort of be like on the outside of it, because he's a sniper where he can like sort of look to see if people are coming from behind, but he also has the safety on the backside, because he does, if you guys notice, have pretty low health. So because of that, you know, he wants to sort of keep his distance when he's fighting. Next we have Molly. This one's going to be a pretty quick one. Molly is a mobility expert. She can basically move pretty efficiently anywhere around the map, so she's pretty balanced as far as like map locations go. Betsy is going to be one of the characters that I am starting to use a lot more. She has this unique thing where she can attack inside a building even if she's outside, and she can attack outside a building if she's inside. So because of that, I think she's one of the best characters to play when she's like inside a building of some sort. She's good on like the bridges, especially if you have holy sandals on her, and she is also pretty decent in the savannah area. If you're going to use her in the jungle, just make sure that you use your barriers properly to sort of create like a wall between you and the enemy. Right, next we have is Duke. Now Duke, if you guys noticed, is pretty darn slow. So because of that, any slow characters in the game have a hard time in the center map. So Duke is going to have a tough time playing like open battles in the center map. He's gonna have a tough time like right here too, just because he's really slow, and it gives other characters a really good chance to attack him really easily. As far as like good places to play with Duke, really the savannah is going to be very good for him. The jungle, especially this part right here, and also the village, and really any entrances to anything. So like the entrance right here to the cave, entrances to the villages, entrances to the museum, because he has his roar ability, and that means that he can take enemies by surprise when they're coming in or out and roar them. They will get stunned, and you and your team will have a good couple seconds to have free hits on them. Next we have Pepper. Pepper is a sniper. I think one of her best spots you can play Pepper in is in the jungle, especially like in the thick part of it. She has that unique ability to like see very far and have a good line of sight. So as long as you're able to stay on the back line of the fights, Pepper can do pretty darn well. She's also very good in the savannah, the bridges, really good in open areas too, just as long as the enemies don't get too close, but she's pretty good in the center map and also the village. I don't really like to use her in the museum because it's easy for her to get cornered. It's hard for her to like land her shots because there's too many obstacles, and her bullets, like her spear and her bow, can't go over obstacles in there and stuff. So it can be kind of hard to play with her in the museum. So make sure to keep that in mind as well. Next we have is Finn. Now since Finn is a shark, he's going to be very good in the water and basically any area with the water. So like this imaginary line that I'm drawing right here, Finn is going to be pretty darn good at, especially when he can find enemies that have very low health because of his passive blood scent. You can play him in the jungle, but you got to be really careful because he is kind of like slow when he's moving on land. I know it says that he has a speed of 139, but that's taking into account the water. If you just put him like in like land over here, he's going to be really slow. So be careful for that when you're playing with him over here. But other than that, I mean, he's going to be pretty good. Bruce, he is slow. So again, for slow characters, they're going to have a hard time right here in the center map in the Arctic, and in this area especially. If you put boots on him or holy sandals, he's going to be good in the savannah. Bruce is especially going to be good like in the jungle, especially in this area over here where he can like move between grass patches really efficiently and use his tankiness to his advantage. So yeah, this area up here, village area up here is going to be pretty good at, and savannah. But spots that he's not going to be so hot in are going to be like the center map right here. Also bridges, he tends to be sort of lacking too as well, just because of his mobility. Next we have is Buck. Sort of the same thing. Buck is going to be very good in the savannah and sort of in the jungle, especially right here and in the village. He can be hit or miss on the bridges. Want to be careful with him when you play him in the center part of the map, just because it's going to be hard for him to take cover, and since he's so slow, it can give snipers and like any character with a long range of attack, or even like Nyx's or Larry's, an easy chance to get hits on him. Next we have a Skippy. Skippy's going to be good with basically any area that has obstacles that he can use to his advantage. Skippy's passive is Overcoming Leap, which means he can hop over barriers. He can use that to his advantage by either like catching enemies by hopping over barriers or running away from enemies. He has a very unique playstyle because he's the only enemy that can like, or player that can like hop over obstacles. So you can hop over, you know, fountains, walls, barriers, that sort of thing. So he's going to be good in the center map, going to be good around here. Museum, especially the whole museum area, he's going to be really good at. Village, he's going to be very good at. And like jungle, he's decent at. Savannah, decent at. But yeah, Skippy, any area that has obstacles is going to be like his prime spot for playing. Earl, I think, is just a very like, well, I'll start with the places he's not very good at. He gets like a boost of movement speed with his passive, but that just requires him to walk in a straight line. So like the museum has a lot of corners and like edges and stuff, so that can be kind of hard for him to play in. Any open spot that allows him to like walk in a straight line really, and like good open areas, he's going to be decent at. Next we have is Louie. I kind of say the same thing for Louie too as well. I think he's just average in all areas. He's like doesn't really have an area that he excels in. Arguably, maybe you could say like the Savannah. I think it's like hit or miss. He's just like a pretty decent average character as far as like map locations goes. Okay, and next we have Yara. She can be good in like different areas of the map, but I don't think she excels in any area specifically. Yeah, I really haven't seen too many areas where like I see Yara and I'm just like, oh nope, I'm not gonna be going there because that's Yara's spot. Like, no, I don't really think that when I play Yara. Yeah, just pretty average, I guess. Steve, he has the advantage of being able to like lock on to an enemy with easy prey, and they can go a pretty far distance and he can still be locked onto them. The only thing you need to keep in mind with Steve is anywhere you are in the map, you want to make sure that you land your rude swoop. If you notice, rude swoop has an 8-second cooldown, so if you miss your rude swoop, he has like 8 seconds of vulnerability where he can't fly up. His health is pretty low. If you guys notice, it's below half. He's a very vulnerable character if he can't land his burst shots, so just be careful wherever you are in the map. Just try to land your burst shots to like have the most effectiveness with him. Next we have Tony. Now Tony does have an extra line of sight when Gigi's attached to him, so because of that I think he's actually pretty darn good in the jungle area and just this area over here in general. But other than that, I think he's actually just pretty decent and like average anywhere else on the map too as well. Ollie, I like to play Ollie in anywhere where there's grass just to take advantage of his passive and his active abilities. The only thing you got to be careful with Ollie is obviously like mid to late game, or really just late game, when the storm is coming, the firestorm is coming, to make sure that like when you're attacking and stuff, you try to minimize the amount of times that you go into the fire. But yeah, pretty average character as far as like where he can be played on the map. Really good in the jungle area, like I said, with any grass. Savannah, he's pretty good at. Center map, pretty good, you know. Village, pretty good. Bridges, not too bad. And museum, he's also pretty good too as well. Next we have MILO. Now MILO is the only character in the game that we have that can do all 3 attacks by standing in the water. So because of this, I see a lot of good MILO players that tend to play over here. Now that doesn't mean to say like I always see MILO over here, not over here, but like MILO does really well, guys, near the water, just because he can make really good plays from the water and not just attack them on land, but he can attack from the water. Yeah, and then I think he's just pretty decent everywhere else, really. Okay, Donna. So Donna is one of the few characters, only 2 characters that I don't have. I don't have any experience playing with Donna, but since she's an alligator or a crocodile, I don't know which one, I'm assuming that she's going to be good in the water, in any area just near the water, sort of like MILO. If you're playing with her in this part of the map, you're not gonna be able to take advantage of her swim and stalk. You can take advantage of her charge and chomp, but just not her swimming. And lastly, we have Iris. Now Iris, obviously I do not have Iris, but I do notice she has a very fast movement speed, so because of that, just like any stalker, I think she's going to be good in open areas where she's allowed to like move pretty freely without any obstacles in her way. So I think if you want to use Iris, using her in this general area right here will be good. Also this area right here and this area right here, including the Savannah too as well, I think she'll be pretty good in. And that's going to be it, guys. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe for more Zooba content. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.